This is Dysfunctional Beardos, three veterans sharing their passion for cigars, bourbon, cars, life, and our military service. And the kind of truth you only get once nobody's performing anymore.
Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to episode 4 of our Dysfunctional Beardos podcast. Today we're going to talk about why Jeeps, cigars, and bourbon just belong together. Really more about Jeeps. We're going to talk about our bourbons. So I have the sheriff here, and why don't we start off with what we're smoking today? Go ahead, Sheriff.
Okay, so I have Perdomo Habanero. This is in 2019. This was they won the award for best label. This is something I picked up at the 2025 Rocky Mountain Cigar Fest. So it's supposed to be a really, really good cigar. They do something really different with these, man. The wrapper is cured in a bourbon aged barrel.
Interesting.
It's supposed to, so that's for an additional 10 months beyond where you'd see a normal wrapper. It's supposed to be a medium, the full body, very bold, rich flavor. And it's supposed to have hints of oak and cedar. Now, I've just lit this one up. You can see, I don't have a 1/4 inch on it yet. We'll see how it goes. And I am pairing this with this bottle I've been working on for a couple of weeks. It's Yellowstone, and no, it's not related to the TV series. Something that's been around since was 1872.
Wow.
So I've been working on this for a good 2 weeks or so, and jury's out. It's good, but for the price point, there's far better, like Eagle Rare, Four Roses, most of the Wellers. You can do much better, but if you get an opportunity to try some, go ahead and do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. There's, when you look at bourbons that are like $500-600 a bottle, and you're like, there's so much sub $100 bottles that are so good.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to spend that much, but I don't want to buy one sight unseen. I got to try it if I want to spend that kind of money, right? So, but definitely, I am smoking an Esteban Carreras. I met Fumar Cigars in Phoenix, and he highly recommended it. This is the Chupa Cabra. It's the 10th anniversary. Yeah, it's a fairly inexpensive stick. It's right now it's pretty mild. It's got a good flavor. There's a little hint of sweetness on the wrapper. I was kind of like wasn't ready for that, but it's actually not.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Swisher sweet or a sweet cigar sweet. It just has a little sweet tone to it. So definitely. So yeah, I'm pairing that with when I travel again. I always get my little nips of Woodford. Can't go wrong with Wood. I've got a duffel bag full of these, Sheriff. It's kind of funny because I don't drink usually when I travel because I get there too early. I always grab them, throw them in the bag, and then take them home or drink them when I'm in, at the hotel. But I'm pairing that with my classy glass. What they had here, so all good.
I'd been better if it was in a red Solo cup.
Yeah, they used to have them down here. Now they got the coffee cups. I think they get them when they can get them. So, yeah, but it's a good smoke. It's mild at this point. When I looked at it online, a little bit about the cigar itself. Its 10th anniversary is actually excellent choice. These are what they consider a hidden gem under $15 a stick. This was $11.80.
Wow. Well, like I said, I got mine at Cigar Fest, so I couldn't tell you what. I didn't look it up before. But it came with this handy-dandy little informational card.
Oh, so, yeah. I think I got the same one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. You were there, too. So
yeah. I think I got that same one. I don't know if I smoked it or did I just remove it out of there. So anyway, so, our love for cigars, our love for bourbon, our love for cars and Jeeps and our military service is what it's all about here. So the sheriff and I share a trait. We love our Jeeps. I think I might be a little deeper in than he is, but he started out with, what was your first Jeep? It was a pickup. You had
it was a 1978 J10 pickup truck. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, about as blue as that. That's what, an Air Force flag behind you.
Yep.
About the same color as that flag, and that was actually the first vehicle I ever bought with my own money. I had been in the Air Force just a year and a half, saved up enough of a down payment, wanted a four-wheel drive. You know what Rapid City, South Dakota is like in the wintertime. You really need a four-wheel drive. And then, so I I went out looking, came across this Jeep J10, and I'm the type of guy, and you know this, and the Colonel knows this. Um, I don't want to drive a Chevy because everybody else is driving a Chevy, or I don't want to drive a Ford. So I always try and do something a little bit different. So I really like that Jeep, that J10, and so that was my first Jeep.
Yeah.
What was yours?
My first Jeep was a 97. So I used to work at Chrysler, worked for the number 4 person in the company. And so in 97, the TJ came out. And my customer's like, hey, do you want to take the Jeep for the weekend? I'm like, oh, yeah. So I took that thing home as much as I could. I drove the daylights. It was a 1997 Jeep Sahara, the traditional green with the tan top, straight V6 automatic. Back then, they didn't have an overdrive, had a smaller gas tank because in 2000 they upgraded the gas tank on the TJs. But I love that thing, and so I bought a 2000 Sahara, and then 2003 Rubicon, 2006 65th anniversary TJ. Those are my TJs. I still have the black. I call her Blackie, my 2006, and then. 2015, 2018, a couple of 2024s. I think I'm probably missing one there somewhere. I had 8 in total. So, yeah, kind of funny story. My wife just rolls her eyes every time I look at another Jeep. So, I think I'm good now. I've got 2 2024s. Wife drives a V6. I drive the 6.4, 392 cubic inch, 470 horse monster sitting out here outside the parking lot at the cigar lounge here. But I really like it. So you had the truck. You had it. Didn't you have a CJ
Yeah,
at one
that was
point?
the truck. And then I guess in 1987 or 1988, I bought a 1984 Jeep CJ7, kind of a root beer brown color with that. What was that color tan? They had 2 color tan or interior roofs. Spice nutmeg. Yeah,
Camel
so it was kind
and nutmeg. Yeah.
yeah, it was kind of a root beer brown with nutmeg top and interior, but it was one of the true Renegades. So these little Renegade SUVs running around, that wasn't. Yeah, Renegade was a trim package on CJ7s back in the 80s.
Yeah.
So that was my second one. Had that for a number of years until I got married and needed something more practical. Wound up in a Dodge pickup truck, and then story for another podcast. I sold a Jeep, bought a T-Bird, sold a T-Bird, bought a second T-Bird, sold a second T-Bird, bought a third T-Bird.
Mm-hmm.
The third T-Bird miraculously changed into a Mach 1 Mustang that turned into a 69 Roadrunner, and then I sold the Roadrunner and came across a 2005 TJ. That was in 2012, and I still have it. It's down in the barn. I had it on the road this morning. Weather up here is kind of beautiful. No top, no doors. So between that and this other old Dodge truck that I have in the summertime, yeah, that's the way I'm usually rolling.
I love it. And that's a beautiful truck. I've seen it a couple times. It's really, really nice. Yeah, with that always comes the complexities of having an older vehicle, wiring, and stuff like that. I know you've had your share of fun with it. I've had my share of fun with my 06. But yeah, and the reason why I like Jeeps, number one, kind of the military heritage, and they're kind of, they're rustic, they're primitive, I guess when we had the CJs in the Air Force, we had two. We had a CJ5, I think, and a CJ7.
Right.
And the only thing I didn't like about them is they needed gas like every couple of hours. They had tiny gas tanks in them, and we ran those things 24/7. I don't think we ever turned them off. We just let them run.
Yeah.
And that was my only complaint. Like, geez, I'm putting gas in this thing again, And the shift change police, the cops that relieved us, they weren't very friendly. So if we didn't have a full tank, we had to put up with a little grief on that. So, and you think about military heritage, and I'm going to share my screen here if it will let me. Let's see if it will let me do it. I can cut this out, Kevin. I don't know why it's doing this for me, but there we go. Now I think I can do it. There we go. Hang on, just give me grief. I haven't used this one. Oh, I guess I can't share. But anyway, I'll post this up. But just for you, Kevin, and I'll start now. The history of the Jeep is really, really robust. It started out with in World War II, they needed a general purpose vehicle. And if you think about Jeep, Jeep, that's pretty much how Jeep got its name, was general purpose, right? So it started with Bantam, and that was in the early 40s. And Bantam had this design for a Jeep, and the military loved it. However, the issue with Bantam was they couldn't produce enough. So Ford Motor Company came in and built, I think, probably the majority of the Jeeps, I believe, Sheriff, don't you think? Back in the early 40s.
Bantam won the original design contract, and then the government, because they needed so many of them so quick, they took the designs and turned them over to Ford and Willys.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, like you said, you're right. The major portion of them were all built by Ford, but a lot of them were built by Bantam and Willys as well.
Yeah, and it got so popular with the people after World War II that they decided to make civilian versions of them. So basically the same Jeep, and I think that's when they moved to the 7 slot. I'll do some research on that. I think they moved to the 7 slot about that time. And reproduced them as the Willys Overland edition, and then eventually AMC bought them, I think in 54, 55, I'm not sure exactly the year. They were called Willys for a long time. I think even up until the later 60s, weren't they? They were the Willys, and some people say it's pronounced Willis, but to me it looks like Willys, so let's go with Willys. So
everybody knows the Willys.
Yeah, Willis is kind of a weird name when it doesn't have the IS on it, right?
Yeah. Willys also made regular cars and pickup trucks as well as the Jeep. So
it's interesting. I just drove by Toledo, where the original plant was. They call it Jeep Parkway. One thing that's left from that original plant was the smokestack, and I think it says Willys Overland on it, if I remember correctly. So, and then 87 or AMC took over Willys and ran most of the 70s, I believe, until like 87, and then Chrysler bought AMC. And I remember that AMC building in Southfield, Michigan, growing up. It was the tallest tower there. There's nothing else around it. And I got one trivia question for you, and our graphic is wrong. I'm looking at it right now. Thanks to AI, it's a TJ, but it has a JK front end on it, or the grill. So it's got two sets of turn signals, which is wrong. AI, you gotta love AI. It gives some good stuff, but you really have to watch what it is.
I love AI. I'm an old man. I'll stick to my old ways.
Exactly. But so a trivia question for you, Sheriff. There was one year that a Jeep Wrangler, a Jeep was not made. Do you know what year that was?
Seems to me I knew at one time. I'm going to guess 59.
1996. What happened was they were going from the YJ, the square headlight Jeep that you reminded me of on that picture, to the TJs. They were going from a complete rebuild of the Jeep, and they were going from leaf springs to coil springs. They still had the 4.0 motor, which is probably one of the better motors ever made, I think. Not because they didn't lay, just because they're easy to fix and they ran forever. But 96, they decided to take the year off to perfect the next Jeep. So 96, they did not make a Jeep, a Wrangler anyway.
It's kind of the same way Chevrolet did with the lack of an 83 Corvette.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. I didn't know they didn't make an 83.
Well, I want to say in 83 they made like 4 of them, and that was it.
Wow, I didn't know. Those got to be worth a mint. So
I only knew that because my father-in-law had an 84, He bought El Paso, Texas. He bought one of the ones that came available in that area. So I heard that story from him.
Yeah, and when I think about Corvettes being manufactured, I think about that sinkhole that happened at the museum. Did you ever see the video of that? I'll post some pictures of that in the podcast. But I went 3 or 4 years later, and they covered up the hole like a time capsule. You could see down in there. They had glass, but they brought one of it might have been an 83, 84 Corvettes that got completely crushed. They didn't fix it. They just left it as a crushed, mangled piece of metal. But it's insane if you watch that video, and it's out on YouTube. It's pretty insane watching the cars just go away. And those are some pretty nice collectible vehicles that they had there. So, but
shit.
Yep.
Not much Corvette guy, but I'd hate to see that happen.
Yeah, the Corvettes look cool to me. I like the C7s, the later version with the mid-engines. Not really for me, but it's growing on me a little bit. It's just a little bit too European. I like the old traditional Corvette look, right? And the last C7 really had that good look to it. I call those years after like 79 the plastic years, right? They were kind of plasticky after they went away from the steel bumpers. I think 74, 75, but not that I don't know my vehicles, but been around the block a little bit. But the 80s were all plastic. They were crazy plastic, and then they got better and better over time towards the last version of the C7. The C8, I sat in them, I looked at it. It's pretty. It's like an aircraft cockpit. It's pretty wild. But back to Jeeps. I mean, the reason why I like Jeeps is just kind of like the military heritage, going back to history. When you think about, what America means, Jeep, baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, and to me, Chevrolet and Jeep, right? Because Jeeps have been around my whole life and pretty much, since the 40s. So, but it's not the oldest vehicle made. And I think I hinted to you earlier. Do you know what the oldest vehicle model in production ever been made? It's a Chevy. I'll give you that.
No, I would have guessed off the top of my head Bel Air, but they don't make those anymore. So.
The Chevrolet Suburban.
Suburban.
Goes back to the 30s.
Yeah, that's right.
So
yeah, they called it carry-all Suburban.
Mm-hmm. And what engine did you have in your truck? Was that a 304, 360?
Oh, which truck?
Your Jeep, your 78.
Oh, the 78, no, it was a straight six. And when I first saw it, I was out looking for a vehicle, and I was at a car lot, and, I saw this white CJ7 sitting over in the corner. I really liked it. The salesman I was working with kind of said, well, that one's not for sale, but we have another lot, in another part of town, and we've got a Jeep there that's for sale. So we drove over and looked at it. So first thing I did was jump into it, and I noticed that it had an automatic transmission in it, which the only automatic transmission Jeeps I'd ever seen were the military version of the CJ. And, so it was just a straight six back with an automatic. So when we got down to the car lot, I see this root beer brown Jeep sitting over in the corner. Open the door and hop in, and I noticed it had an automatic transmission in it, which, is not the most desirable. Most of the automatics I've ever seen were the ones we drove in the Air Force. And what got me excited was at that time, it was very hard to get a manual transmission with a V8. So I'm sitting behind the wheel looking at that automatic shifter lever and pop the hood expecting to see a big old V8 under there, but it just had the standard straight six. So it was a good Jeep. I drove it for a number of years, but tastes change.
Yeah, that's true. It's very true. When I bought one of my Jeeps, my Rubicon, my 2003, somebody goes, "Why didn't you buy a stick shift?" And I go, if you ever been in a climb on the side of a hill and you hit a gear you didn't want, or you hit a rock that stalls it, you've lost your momentum. I guess the lazy part of me is, It's much easier on the left leg when you're not pushing in a clutch and you're going up a hill. But
Yeah.
that to be said, the Jeeps come with a 410 rear end on the manual transmissions and anywhere from a 373, 340 rear end
Mhm.
on the automatics. They didn't have overdrives there the first couple of years, at
Mhm.
least for the TJs, but then they finally put an overdrive in it, I think 2001 or 2, something like that. But yeah, it made it a lot easier. However, there's a Teflon stick where you on the shift handle. Mine broke on a ride, and I noticed I couldn't get it out of park. And then I got out of the park, got it in drive, and couldn't put it in park. And finally, I took it to the dealer because I got a really good dealer. I would never go to the dealer normally, but he says, look, all you got to do is a little hex, have an Allen wrench in your glove box, take the top off, and that stick is right there. They do wear. So I almost got stuck. I had to leave it in neutral in my driveway with the emergency brake on until I get it to the dealer. When I got home that night, I couldn't put it in park, so I couldn't take the key out.
Mhm.
So if somebody knew how to unlock the door, they'd have had a Jeep. Of course, couldn't put in park, so whatever. But
Yeah, I
so
had the same problem in my '05 TJ.
oh, did you that
Yeah.
stick?
It was nose into the garage when it broke, and we had to get a flatbed to drag it out of the garage. And then he wanted to load it front end first, so drug it down the driveway out in. We lived in a cul-de-sac. Spun it around, loaded it, um, and then hauled it off to a mechanic to get it fixed.
Yeah. It,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I luckily was able to drive mine. I've got a really good dealer. Matter of fact, I still go to that dealer today. Yeah, so I've had my Jeeps out. I've had a couple scary incidents where basically it bottomed out the frame on the ground. And my son was in front of me in my 2000, and we were on a gas pipeline trail ride up about 20 miles north of Phoenix. And we just got in a situation where bang, and it just hit the bottom. And I told him, I says, just floor it. He goes, why? I says, if you don't, you're gonna either ruin the gas tank or lose the bumper. So we floored it and kind of off road, got a little air to get out of that spot. And Jeeps are real torquey, so it gave me that oomph to do it. So, but yeah, the best mods I've ever made, I put 2.5 to 3 inch lifts on all my Jeeps, not much more than that. 35s on most of my Jeeps. The 382 has a 387. Of course, it has a 456 rear end with a V8 pulling it. So I didn't notice anything different, but just the speedometer was off a little bit till I chipped it and put that in there. So, and I don't know if you know this or not, but tires, even though it says 37, they're not true 37s. So my Goodrich tires on the 2024 35s measure 33, and my 382 is supposed to be 37 by 12 and a half. They measure 35 from the ground up. So it's all about weight, width of the wheel, and all that stuff. But to me, when I buy 37s, I really want 37s.
Well,
And being a short guy, it's
I-
probably helping me.
yeah, my TJ has got a 4 inch lift and 33s on it. So I'm assuming they're only, about 31 based on what you just said?
If they're
I've never
Goodrich,
actually.
if they're Nittos or Toyos, I guess Nitto's pretty close to being real height.
BFGs.
Yeah, BFGs are probably, next time you do, take the measuring stick out there and see what you get.
Yeah.
So, yeah. By the way, how's your cigar cooking?
So, surprisingly, something I've noticed, I normally don't have the palate to sit here and say, I taste that, hint of pepper or, whatever hints I'm supposed to pick up.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, the information card that came with this cigar did say that there were hints of oak and cedar. Now, I'm not catching the cedar, but I'm definitely tasting the oak, which is a surprise to me because I normally don't, I normally don't pick up on that. So with me, I either enjoy it or I didn't enjoy it. But
Yeah, I lost my ash, but
Mhm.
this one says that the first third is black pepper espresso,
Mhm.
dark chocolate, and again, I'm just like you. I don't taste the dandelions and the blowing in the breeze with whatever. But now that I'm in this second third, it says coffee, mixed nuts, cocoa, I do taste like the coffee and the leather. It's got a little bit of a flavor to it. It's coming alive. And again, this isn't a very expensive stick, which is nice because
Mhm.
I smoked the UF13 Drew Estates, is it something Bravo La Vida or whatever, Sunday, and that thing was the bomb. It was really good. But 22 bucks a stick, that's not bad. I mean, that's a little on the higher end. I like, there's some like bourbons. There's so many good lower cost sticks out there. 22 doesn't break the bank, but um,
I've
but
had I've had $100 sticks, and to be honest with you, I've not enjoyed them any more than I have my usual $15. You know,
yeah.
so
This one's coming out with that flavor more and more. The more I smoke it, the more leather, the more coffee like. Cocoa, kinda, but not really. When I look at wine, they're like, "What do you taste? Red." What do you mean red? Red wine. I couldn't tell you the difference, walnuts to ash or whatever.
yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of funny. But yeah, so this is our podcast. We just love doing this. This is us talking, smack back and forth. Our next episode, we're gonna have Randy, who is one of our fellow compadres in the security police career field in the Air Force. He's going to talk about his love for vehicles. He's a Ford guy too, just like Kevin, even though he has Jeeps. Me, it's a family religion thing. I can't own a Ford, although they do look good and they're nice vehicles. I would be disowned by the half that I like the most. So it's kind of funny how that works. So you got to pick your battles and take your lumps. But he works at Ford's River Rouge plant in Detroit. I guess it's kind of Dearborn, Detroit. It's right on the city line, where you go back in history in the 50s and 60s, the U.S. government stepped in because they were making the tires, they were making the glass, and everything for that vehicle. And that is a monopolistic organization, so they made them break that up. And you'll see that around. You can't do everything because there's suppliers out there that need need to make money too. And so when we talk about this, Sheriff, we should probably talk about the Tucker, because the Tucker is a good reason why they were locked out by the big industries, right? And Preston Tucker, I didn't know this, is from my hometown, and we'll talk about that. Right, matter of fact, his house, when we went to the Bomber restaurant in Ypsilanti, his house was half a block from there. And right before we moved out of Michigan, his house was for sale. Beautiful house, just you got to move where you're happy, and Michigan's home for me. I was born in Kentucky, but Michigan, but the winter stuff after being stationed in Hawaii, although the 9,000 foot where you live is pretty attractive. I love that area there. So definitely. For those of you watching, watch this long, any suggestions you have, anything we could do better, we're more than willing to change and open that up. So we don't have our third compadre on there. He'll be on from time to time. Again, he's still recovering from his health issues. We love to have him on, but we'll get him on eventually. I think for the car one next time, episode 5, I think he said he would join. He's a T-Bird guy. You've had a few T-Birds in your life, and Randy's a big Ford guy, from Mustangs to, I think right now he had to special order his F-150 with a V8 because they're kind of stepping back from the V8s on the F-150s. They're going EcoBoost, So the jury's out on that for me on the turbos. So
Yeah.
Any parting remarks? I would say the Woodford pairing with this. I would say you could probably go a lighter bourbon with this one. This one's not very harsh. It's very smooth, very, very soft. It's good. I tend to lean towards the heavier cigars, but this is actually good flavor. I would buy it again for $11.80 a stick. So how's yours?
Same here. This Perdomo habanero, so far has been a good smoke, man. And the free price point, you can't beat that. So I would definitely recommend, if you get an opportunity to get your hands on one of these, try it. I think you'll enjoy it. But on the other side, to coin the Yellowstone, it's okay, but and I've got about that much left in the bottle. So I'll finish it off, but I don't see me buying another bottle. There's far too many other, I want to say I paid about $32 for it. And for just a couple of bucks more, you can get a good Four Roses,
Yep.
you know, a good Weller's. There's just way too many other better bourbons in the same price range as the Yellowstone.
Yeah,
So,
coming to mind at 30 price point, Buffalo Trace, Larceny, Elijah Craig. There's some really good ones at that price point. And again, it's not about the cost; it's about the palate. It's what you like the most.
exactly,
Yeah, you know.
exactly. You know,
Me, I
there's
lean towards the Eagle Rare or Colonel Taylor.
yeah,
Blanton's it's good, but at the price point, there's so much there that competes in
yeah.
that market. It's cool because it's round and everybody wants to drink it. So I've got bottles of it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so
Yeah,
this can,
too.
yeah, good. And
So,
you've got a nice collection too. Maybe episode 6 we talk about a bourbon collection. I can show my liquid refreshments.
there you go.
So anyway, this
So,
concludes our episode number 4. Right, we're on episode 4 now. And
so
thank you for listening. If you've stayed on this long, we really appreciate it. Please, when you get a chance, like and subscribe.
mhm.
And we'll definitely keep this going. We're just having fun with it, so we're
Yeah.
not making money out of it. It's just us
Mhm.
talking smack, and
Yeah.
we'll get into philosophical stuff later on about what the military career did for us. We'll talk about vehicles. Pretty much, if there's any topics, just bring them up. We'll roll
Yeah.
them in.
You
So,
know, guns down the road. You know, I and not to blow the lid off a future episode, but I sent an email to Santa Claus earlier this week, and a lot of people don't realize Santa does enjoy a good stick every now and again.
there you
So
go.
I'm gonna try and set them up for a future episode if we're able to do a Dysfunctional Beardos Christmas special. We just
I've got
might
yeah,
see
I
that
love
job,
it.
man.
Yeah, that's great. I've got a gentleman that works for Pararescue.
Mm-hmm.
He's willing to come up. He was going to come up this weekend. He couldn't make it, but he's going to take some screenshots of what they do down there, what he can share, obviously, because a lot of stuff they do is classified, but they run the helicopters up there, and the pararescue for the Air Force is all about rescuing pilots. Their job is to go in and extract the pilot, much like what happened in Iran a month or so ago. But this concludes our episode, and thank you for watching Beardos, and we'll talk
Good
again.
one.